It's a mystery that's haunted 3 families for more than 15 years.
The police are just going to have a look at that possibility that she went in there and has had some sort of an accident.
This is part of what is called a cold case investigation in relation to the disappearance, suspected murder of Selena Bridge and Annie Glassett.
Only one family knows for sure their loved one was murdered, but they're still waiting for closure.
We only hope that Derek Sam will now tell us where Jessica is, so we can say goodbye to a daughter, sister, auntie and a friend.
Tonight, we speak with 2 of the families who feel their cases lost traction.
Nobody's doing nothing really.
As investigators turn their attention to missing Sunshine Coast teenager Daniel Morecambe.
I hope that the police will continue to devote their efforts and that eventually the truth will come out.
5 years before Daniel Morecambe was abducted on the Sunshine Coast, the first of 2 women and a teenager vanished without a trace. Police have always suspected their bodies are in forestry around the hinterland town of Kenilworth, but searches have turned up nothing. Now with the Morecambe case closed, the affected families are appealing to police to make finding them a priority.
I'm hoping that they will continue on and maybe step it up a little bit.
Kelly Dodd last saw her younger sister Jessica Gordy in August 1999.
She was just starting to, do her own thing and have a boyfriend.
The 15-year-old was babysitting children in Nambour when she was murdered by the children's father, Derek Sam. Sam claims he picked her up from the house and dropped her to a party he'd been to earlier that night, but she never showed up.
My sister's not the kind of girl to sit there and just take something that's happening, and I think she tried to fight back and he took it out on her.
A jury found him guilty of murder and he was jailed for life, but her body was never found.
It leaves like an empty, sick feeling.
If I knew where she was, that would probably give us closure.
28-year-old Selena Bridge was the first of the 3 to vanish. The British tourist was last seen walking along Balloomba Creek Road, Kenilworth, in July 1998. She was hiking to the nearby Little Yabba Creek camping ground. Kenilworth teacher's aide Sabrina Glassett, better known as Anne, was the next to disappear.
She was an incredibly loving, caring and giving person.
Anne Glassett's car was found parked at Little Yabba Creek, a short distance from her home in May 1999. Neither she nor her pet poodle was seen again. Police and SES combed large areas of forestry for any evidence several times, the last in 2007. The case was reopened in July 2012 when police received new information, but as yet no one has been charged and the bodies are still missing. How has not knowing what happened to your mum affected your life?
Not having any closure, not having any idea of how or why or where she died, that's the hardest part.
A coronial inquest identified Jessica Gordy's convicted murderer, Derek Sam, as a person of interest in both women's disappearances. The experienced horseman and tracker worked with troubled youth in the area of Kenilworth where the women were last seen, but there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. Do you think Derek Sam killed her?
I suspect that he probably did.
Jed Moore's grandmother, Joan Worsley, who kept the case in the public eye, died last year.
One of the biggest regrets for her was to go without knowing what had happened to Mum.
Like Jed Moore, Tammy Gordy has avoided the media spotlight, trusting that police would solve the mystery. But she's worried her mother will also die, not knowing where her daughter is.
I have more time, so I can keep fighting for them, but she's not going to have much more time.
She recently created a Facebook page devoted to finding her sister's remains.
If people keep saying her name, then the police might try harder. I'm not sure. It just worked for the Morecambe, so I thought it would work for me.
It's difficult for Pauline Gordy to hear Daniel's name.
Just made me think that they were just focused on just the one person all the time.
With Derek Sam eligible for parole next year and the Morecambe case closed, she and her family want the police to make finding Jessica's body a priority.
I know they've got a lot of cases out there, but, you know, we're being shoved with the rest of them.
That would be really, really great if they could do as much for our family as they've done for the Morecambe family.
Like the Morecambe case, Jed Moore hopes police are doing more than he's aware of.
There's hope that comes to me through understanding the way that the police have handled that matter, that a similar level of resources would be applied to Mum's case and also Selena and Jessica's.
They all want and need the same thing.
Closure, the ability to say goodbye and to have somewhere that we can go and pay our respects.
I don't like the idea of her being out somewhere alone. That is, quite hard to deal with.
And they all believe someone somewhere knows something that could bring the investigation to an end.
Come forward, it's not, they're not going to, get in trouble over it.